Welcome to the Arts House in Antigonish, Nova Scotia. We are a not-for-profit art school offering classes in acrylic, oil, watercolor, and pottery for adults and youth. I know you're excited to start your ceramics journey with us, so let's head inside and I'll acquaint you with the ceramics guidelines and procedures. Welcome inside, let's take a look around. As you enter, on your right, you'll see the bulletin board where you can check class schedules and other information. Right here we have the dance studio, and behind us is a shelf where you can pick up your finished ceramics. If you're coming to class to pick up, please do so during an open studio so you don't disturb any classes that are in progress. Right there we have the washroom. On the left here is the office where you can check in with staff, arrange class registrations, or purchase tools and clay. We also have items for purchase here by our member artists, so if you're interested in selling your work, you can chat with a staff member. In the center here, you'll see the hand building tables, where you can come in and work on your hand building projects. Along the back wall there, you can check out our latest feature artists. At the back of the hand building area is shelving for bisqueware, a slab roller for rolling out clay used in hand building, and we have the wedging table with plaster slabs. On the other side of the studio, you'll pass through the back door that leads to the kiln shed, and here we have the wheel room. We have 6 wheels, including one that reverses direction, and all the tools that you'll need for your projects can be found here, as well as slips and underglazes. To the side there, you can see shelving reserved for greenware only. Our last stop is the glaze kitchen, where you'll find shelving for pieces that are ready for their final firing, as well as an extensive selection of glazes. The Arts House has a wide selection of tools and equipment at your disposal, so in order to keep everything in good working condition, let's go over the procedures that we should all follow. Every wheel will be equipped with a hand building kit. Each kit contains a sponge on a stick, a needle tool, a dry sponge, both wooden and metal ribs, a wooden knife, and a wire. Now join me in the wheel room and we'll take a look at all the other tools and equipment.
Over here in the wheel room, there's lots of important tools to use for your projects. On this side, we have shareware, so you could try out different tools for your project. On this side, over here, we have slips, underglazes, various types of mats, project boards, and molds to use for hand building or a wheel. And we also have hand building toolkits up here, so that you don't have to purchase a toolkit before you come. They're all there ready for you to go. But if you do want to buy a toolkit of your own, they're for sale over by the office. We also have our banding wheels. And underneath the counter, there's lots of drawers filled with all sorts of tools, so you can go through and find anything that you might need. Just make sure that it's clean and dry before you put it back.
Now that you know where to locate all your tools, let's take a moment to go over the procedures at the slab roller and wedging table.
Down here at the end of the hand building tables, we have our slab roller that we're going to use to roll out large pieces of clay for our hand building projects. Under here you can find project boards to use in those hand building projects. You can also take your slab clay and put that on there. Over here is our wedging table, on top of which is the scale. There are wire cutters up here available for you to cut clay out of your bag before you weigh it. Make sure you put those back up where they belong. Once you use the wedging table, make sure you clean it off for the next person. You're going to grab your metal scraper and scrape any little bits of the table off into a garbage can. And then you're going to replace the metal scraper back on the wall. Finally, in the corner here, we have the plaster mats. These are used for your clay to dry out a little bit. We also have fans that can help expedite that process. And when you're cleaning off these areas and taking clay off here, you want to make sure that you use the plastic scraper, not the metal scraper that's used on the wedge table, so you don't scratch the plaster. And then once that area is all clean and tidy, you can put this tool back in its spot.
Now that our clay is all ready, let's set up our wheel. Each wheel is equipped with a stool. Don't forget to bring a towel with you and fill up on some water before you get settled in. The foot pedals are placed off the floor when not in use for ease of cleaning. And once the switch is turned on, the wheel is ready to use. Here's a close-up of that pedal position and the on-off switch. Place your tools within reach. And let's go. Now that we're done throwing, let's clean up. The first step is to clean excess clay off the wheel head. Any of those big chunks can go into a ball to be reclaimed. Then, using your sponge, you can clean off the remaining clay and start to clean your tools off. Make sure there's nothing left in your water bucket. And then just make sure that the kit itself is nice and clean before replacing your tools. Check your tools against the list before putting them all away. And if you've used the pot lifters, be kind and leave them clean for the next person. With all our tools put safely away, we can turn our attention to the rest of the wheel. First, we'll sop up any liquid with our sponge. If you have any chunks of clay that you pull out right now, you can put those into your reclaim ball. We have a reclaim bucket in the studio under the wedging table, or you can take that home to reclaim yourself later. Now, making sure your hands are dry, locate the tabs on the sides. Push down while gently pulling back. Be firm but gentle so that you don't splash anything on yourself. And if there's water left, you can pour that right into the bucket, along with any bits of soft clay left behind. Finally, we'll give this a good wash inside and out. Then slide the back section out by just pushing it gently backwards, and give that a good cleaning as well. It's helpful to clean as much as possible at your own wheel so that we don't create a bottleneck at the sink. Now the wheel is cleaned up and you've got all your tools out, we're going to take our dirty water over to the slop bucket, which has a strainer in it to dispose of. Don't forget to check for sponges. Give that liquid a good mix and pass everything through the strainer. So that way if you do miss a tool, you'll be able to catch it before it's lost. Now let's put a little more water in here to do the final clean out. Don't forget to replace the lid before you leave the area. For the final wipe down, I've grabbed a big sponge from above the sink to clean the larger areas. You can use the little sponge for smaller areas like the splash pan. The big sponges can also be used to clean the hand building tables and the wedging table. To put the wheel back together, we're going to replace the back of the splash pan first. You're going to work that back and forth until it kind of locks in. Then take the front piece, and that's going to tuck in under until it clicks into place. Then we'll empty the clean-ish water directly into the sink between the pan and the sink side. Once everything is clean, we'll put everything back into its spot so it's ready for the next person. Just be careful. If you forget to turn the switch off first, you might end up sending things flying. Just make sure you turn it off before you put anything on top. Then you can place the pedal and tools back on the table for the next person. The final step of cleaning up is to check your area. Cleaning big blobs with the sponge, and then mopping with a wet mop. We always clean wet to keep dry dust down. Dry clay dust contains silica, which can be harmful to your health. So, by taking a few minutes at the end of your session, you ensure that our studio remains a productive, healthy, and happy place for everyone. And now that we've thrown our piece, let's take a tour of all of the surface treatments that are available to use.
Welcome to the Glaze Kitchen. This is where you're going to take your bisqueware pieces to glaze them before their final firing. On the left, you'll see a variety of glazes, all of which are named on the tops and the final color indicated by these tiles down here. For more information about what glazes look once they've been fired, you can take a look at the board. Once you've selected the glaze that you'd like to use, you're going to give it a very thorough mix using these tools up here. Once you're done with these, you have to make sure they're given a really thorough wash and set back into place. And after all of your glazing is done, make sure that the counter is neatly wiped clean. On the end here, we have wax resist. So there's a kit here for brush on wax resist. And on the right, we have our soy wax, which might be for dipping, but also brushing. To use this, you're going to make sure that you plug it in, let it heat up. Once you're done, you have to make sure you unplug it before you leave the area. Once your pieces are glazed, check the bottoms to make sure they're clear so they don't stick to the kiln shelf. And you're going to place them right here with all of the other finished glazed pieces ready to be fired. When you set your piece up on the board, make sure that you don't touch or move somebody else's, because ceramics at this stage are very delicate and the glaze can easily be sloughed off.
In addition to the many glazes we have on hand, we also have a wide variety of colored slips and underglazes. Here, the colored slips are indicated by their test tiles with multiple coats. And over here, the underglazes, we can see the test tiles available there. And we also have clear glaze, brushes for painting, and palettes. And underneath in the drawers, we have additional colors as well as precision decorators if you like to do line work. In the wheel room, across from the slips and underglazes, is the greenware shelf. All the pieces on this shelf are considered in progress. Once a piece is completely bone dry, please move it to the kiln shed for bisque firing. Be aware that pieces on this shelf will likely be handled by others, so if you have something valuable, you may want to take it home to dry. The bins at the bottom are for class use only, whereas the open shelving at the top is for open studio work. At any stage of the building process, accidents can happen, so if you break something, please say something. Speaking of the kiln shed, let's take a trip outside. Back here is where you want to do any sanding so that we don't get dust in the studio or the kiln shed. And now, when you have your dry pieces ready for firing, you'll take them in, and then you can place them on the shelves here to the right side, being careful not to knock or damage anyone else's work. And always make sure you leave the kiln shed in the condition you found it in, being careful not to leave the door open in bad weather. After your work has been fired, you can find it here on shelving specifically reserved for bisqueware. And then once your pieces are finally completed, you can pick them up on the shelf for finished pieces by the front door. Please remember to collect your finished pieces within 30 days of completion. Our kiln tech will make a post to our Facebook page with pictures so you can see if your piece is ready to be taken home and enjoyed for years to come. And that concludes our procedure orientation. Please check out our website for class listings and open studio times. Open studios are run by volunteer monitors, so if you'd like specific guidance on a certain subject, we offer classes in all areas of ceramics. Regardless of why you've joined the studio, it's important to remember that our shared space is a gathering place for people to connect and learn, as well as a place for people to leave the world behind and focus on themselves. Maintaining an organized and clean space means that the Arts House is a welcoming environment for everyone to enjoy. Thank you for doing your part. We look forward to seeing you soon.